To my left is the late Steve Jobs. He's the visionary behind the devices that many of us carry around and use for more than 5 hours on a daily basis. Under his leadership, Apple launched the iPhone, iPad, iMac and MacBooks. To my right is Elon Musk. He's the visionary behind the oh so beautiful Tesla Cybertruck, Tesla Model S, Tesla Model X, various ginormous rockets of SpaceX, and of course the flamethrower, which isn't actually a flamethrower. Oh, and yeah, then there is me. I make dumb videos on YouTube. So, after reading both of their biographies, I realized there's a pattern. There were certain traits they both had, which I think contributed a lot to their success. And the author seems to agree as well.
You bring up Steve Jobs and Musk. Did you see any similarities between the two?
Oh yeah, both of them have a deeply innovative sense that comes from, as Steve Jobs would say, being able to think different. They're willing to be disruptors. And, you know, Jobs' famous ad in which he says, here's to the misfits, the rebels, the round pegs in the square hole, and ends by saying, and the people who are crazy enough to think they can change the world are the ones who do. Well, Elon Musk is crazy half the time. He thinks he can change the world.
So this interview, and of course the books, left me wondering, which traits could we copy from them to become a
genius, billionaire, playboy, philanthropist?
Then I decided to take a deep dive into the minds and lives of these two and research how they compare. Turns out that they have actually met each other at a party, and this is what Elon Musk had to say about the interaction.
One I've admired, well, I did try to talk to him once at a party and he was super rude to me. But I don't think it was me, I think it was sort of, you know, off the course.
I think you weren't the first.
Yeah, not the first, no. It was...
Okay, hold up. This almost made me feel sorry for Elon, but apparently both of them do not care at all if they offend anyone, especially their employees. According to Walter Isaacson, the author of their biographies, both of them just love to call ideas or people stupid when they disagree.
Well, that thing of saying, I think probably both of them, but Elon certainly saying things like that is the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
Mm-hmm. By the way, I've heard Jeff Bezos say that. I've heard Bill Gates say that. I've heard Steve Jobs say it. I've heard Steve Jobs say it about a smoothie. They were making it a Whole Foods or something. I mean, people, they use the word stupid really often.
So why did they have to be so rude to their employees? Even Walter wondered this himself, since he asked the following question in the opening pages of Elon's book. Could he have been more chill and still be the one launching us toward Mars and an electric vehicle future? It appears that in some cases it led to the employees doing their best work ever. Even Apple's co-founder, Steve Wozniak, thought so and had an interesting response when he got asked why Steve Jobs had to be so cruel.
And so I say to Woz, what's the answer to your question? And he said, well, if I had been running Apple, I would have been nicer to everybody. Everybody got stock options. We've been like a family. And then I don't know if you know Woz, we was like a teddy bear. He paused, he smiled, and he said, but if I had been running Apple, I don't think we would have done the Macintosh or the iPhone. So, yeah, you have to sometimes be rough.
Which led me down towards the so-called reality distortion field rabbit hole. Especially Steve Jobs was known for this, but apparently Elon Musk has it as well. The reality distortion field is their charismatic ability to push people to achieve seemingly impossible goals. One example in which Steve Jobs' reality distortion field really stood out is with the original Macintosh boot time. Initially, it took 75 seconds for the device to boot up, and Jobs was not satisfied at all with the amount of time this took. So he pursued engineer Larry Kenyon to make it boot up faster, to which Larry started explaining why it's not possible. Jobs then immediately cut him off with the question, if it could save a person's life, could you shave 10 seconds of its boot time? His answer was that he probably could. Jobs then proceeded to go to the whiteboard and showed him the following equation. If 5 million people were using the Mac and it took 10 seconds extra to turn it on every day, that added up to 300 million hours or so per year that people would save, which was equal to roughly 100 lifetimes per year. Guess what happened a few weeks later? Larry came back and was able to lower the Macintosh boot time with 28 seconds. That does seem like a distorted reality. Elon Musk has had a similar impact on his employees as well. During his Twitter acquisition, his lease for one of Twitter's data centers was up, so he had to move them from Sacramento, California to Portland, Oregon. One of Twitter's managers gave Musk the estimation that it would take roughly 6 to 9 months to get this done. Note that there were roughly 50 to 100 refrigerator-sized racks of servers. But you can probably already guess how Elon replied. He said that that's fucking bullshit and gave a deadline of 30 days. After that, Elon's cousin James suggested that they should just do it together, starting that very same day. Bear in mind that this was 2 days before Christmas. So they took a short break, but continued moving the server shortly after Christmas, and guess how long it took them. Elon and the team were able to do it in 3 days. Think about that. The Twitter management estimated it would take 6 to 9 months, and Elon basically said fuck that and did it in a few days. I must admit that that's an insane achievement. But this led me to the question, is it really necessary for everyone to give a hardcore treatment to employees in order to have them do their best work? And I think Uncle Thanos was able to answer this question perfectly when I asked him.
Well, see, Jason. Geniuses like me, Steve and Elon, aim to either change the world or die trying. We need people that are willing to work on hardcore mode. I could never get 6 Infinity Stones without having a strong team. Elon could not have made electric cars without a strong team. Steve could not have created the iPhone without a strong team. Strong teams bring perfect balance to the universe, as all things should be.
Makes sense, I guess. So unless you're going to change the world or decimate half of it, you absolutely do not have to be cruel to your employees. What you do need, it seems, is a right-hand man, because both Steve Jobs and Elon Musk had a right-hand man with a passion for design. For Steve, this was the legendary Johnny Ive.
I think there is a profound and enduring beauty in simplicity, in clarity, in efficiency.
Man, I just wish I had that accent. So it turns out that Johnny Ive and Steve Jobs connected on a very deep level in terms of designs and aesthetics. In fact, Steve Jobs had this to say about Johnny. The difference that Johnny has made, not only at Apple but in the world, is huge. He is a wickedly intelligent person in all ways. He understands business concepts, marketing concepts. He picks stuff up just like that, click. He understands what we do at our core better than anyone. If I had a spiritual partner at Apple, it's Johnny. Johnny and I think up most of the products together and then pull others in and say, hey, what do you think about this? He gets the big picture as well as the most infinite small details about each product. In Elon's case, he has Franz von Holzhausen as his right-hand man at Tesla. Remember when they did this together?
Franz, could you try to break this glass, please? Yeah. Sure? Yeah. Oh my fucking god. Well, maybe that was a little too hard.
Should we try on the beer?
Sorry? Okay. It didn't go through. So that's a plus side.
Let's try the right.
Try that one? Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
Oh, man.
It didn't go through.
How could they do that to you? Even the author of the books compares Elon's team up with Franz with the one of Steve and Johnny in the following story about when they first met. In a conference room, away from the other partygoers, Musk showed him pictures of the work that Fisker had done on the Model S. That is really no good, von Holzhausen declared. I can make you something great. Musk started laughing. Yeah, let's do it, he said, hiring von Holzhausen on the spot. They would end up becoming a team like Steve Jobs and Johnny Ive, one of the few calming and non-dramatic relationships Musk would have, professionally and personally. Interesting. I guess that probably means I should hire Uncle Tizzy as my right-hand man.
No, absolutely not. Don't even think about it. I am not interested. I am not even a designer. Maybe you should continue with your story because you forgot to mention that they both have the same nemesis and mentor.
Oh yeah, that's true. Fun fact, they both had issues in the past with Microsoft founder Bill Gates. I mean, for Steve Jobs, it made a lot of sense. Apple was and still is a direct competitor of Microsoft.
The only problem with Microsoft is they just have no taste. They have absolutely no taste. And what that means is, I don't mean that in a small way, I mean that in a big way. In the sense that they don't think of original ideas, and they don't bring much culture into their product.
I mean, he kind of does have a point. For Elon, on the other hand, basically this happened.
I don't know, it's weird. I also heard that at one point he had a big short position against Tesla, which was kind of, I don't know if that's true or not, but it seems weird. People I know who know the situation well, I said, are you sure? They said, yeah, he had a big short position against Tesla, which obviously didn't work out too well.
And then that turned out to be true, as Bill confirmed through text message. As soon as Elon found out, he took his anger to Twitter and posted this. And my guess is that that's where their friendship had come to an end. On a more positive note, they also had the same best friend / mentor. Billionaire Larry Ellison, founder of Oracle, net worth of $140 billion, owns an island on Hawaii. Yeah, so it turns out that Larry gave both of them personal and business advice. In fact, I think he saw something special in both of them, which he hasn't seen in anyone else, because the only time he ever joined a company's board of directors was with Apple and Tesla. So that's kind of a big deal. And if you still think I'm crazy for comparing the two, here's how Larry, who again was a good friend and mentor of both of them, literally compared them. They both had beneficial cases of obsessive compulsive disorder. OCD is one of the reasons for their success because they obsessed on solving a problem until they did. And I do agree heavily with Larry on this one. They both made products that are simplistic, intuitive, and user-friendly. Elon Musk himself openly preached Steve for using this approach, which also confirms that he takes inspiration from Apple's design language.
Something that Steve Jobs was that I think was quite admirable was he was ultra product focused, like down to the little details, and he and the other people at Apple would really try hard to have these, both at a high level and a small level, these delightful things happen. So it just that the product was just, it just made you happy. You know, Jobs was obviously very good with aesthetics, and you know, he understood technology, of course, and he really understood what people wanted even when they didn't know themselves.
However, Larry also said that one trait that sets them apart is that Musk wants total control. Steve just had to get the conception and software right, whereas all manufacturing was outsourced. According to him, Musk applied that same obsession to both design and manufacturing. Larry added that Steve loved to walk through Apple's design studio, but he never visited the factories in China. Musk, however, spent more time walking the Tesla assembly line than he did walking around the design studio. Walter also shared an interesting story regarding Elon wanting to keep control in an interview with Business Today.
There were laws in China that said if you're going to build a car factory, it has to be a joint venture with a Chinese enterprise. And Elon Musk did not want to do that. So for 3 years, he kept refusing to do anything until it could be something that he would control.
And now he apparently is doing this again with the Twitter acquisition.
Well, I think one of his weaknesses, I'll call it, is he really is a control freak. You want him to give up control. Say of Twitter, you're thinking, okay, Linda Yaccarino should run it. But he doesn't really cede too much control.
Essentially, Elon got inspired from the way Apple took control of the end-to-end user experience in both hardware and software and took it to the next level. Which brings me to another topic in which Elon basically borrowed a page out of Apple's playbook, exceeding expectations, or at least try to exceed expectations. Apple was and still is famous for doing this. Everyone knows this as one more thing at the end of Apple events.
But there is one last thing I'd like to talk to you about today.
But there is one more thing that I want to talk about. There is one more thing.
Elon Musk basically did the same thing during the Tesla Semi unveil by showing the Tesla Roadster.
So it turns out there was some cargo in the truck. There's some cargo in the truck. We thought we'd bring it out. The foundation of the whole company was the Tesla Roadster. People have asked us for a long time, when are you going to make a new Roadster? We are making it now.
Bear in mind that this was all the way back in 2018, and the Tesla Roadster still hasn't even entered production in 2023. And he also kind of pulled the same trick with the Tesla Cybertruck announcement by showing off a Tesla Cyberquad ATV.
Should we do the? We also made an ATV. So let's bring it out.
Both of them are also still not available to the masses. In other words, exceeding expectations does not mean over-delivering on your promises. However, one trait they both have is that their work ethic is simply unmatched.
Steve was the most remarkably focused person I've ever met in my life. And the thing with focus is it's not sort of like this thing you aspire to or you decide on Monday, you know what, I'm going to be focused. It is every minute, why are we talking about this? This is what we're working on. You can achieve so much when you truly focus.
I think what Johnny Ive just said applies to Elon as well. They just focus on what actually matters in their products and services and remove unnecessary distractions immediately. So I've recently finished reading this book called Relentless. This one. So in this book, the author, Tim Grover, who coached Michael Jordan and Kobe, refers to such A players as cleaners. They just do the work. They don't care about opinions and they really don't care at all about recognition or external rewards. They just want to get the job done. And I think that's exactly what both Steve Jobs and Elon Musk are. I mean, it's impossible to summarize the concept in one 10-minute video, but the way they work, the way they focus on one thing at a time and the way they execute is something you'll only comprehend after reading both of their books. So if you really want to get inspired, my suggestion is to read both of them at the same time, right now. Thank you for watching.
Don't make me come for you. Subscribe right now.